Yes guys, welcome back to more GBFC. In today's video, we're going to go through every single Premier League club's player of the season so far. Of course, there's still a lot of football to be played, but so far this season, who has been your club's best player? Let's get into it now. So as you can see, we have been hard at work on Canva, and I've made this graphic, so by the end of it, you'll see every single player. But first of all, we've got to begin with Arsenal. Bukayo Saka, a man that's been out injured for the majority of the second part of the season, but you can see the early numbers here from Bukayo Saka were just big. Every single game delivering. And if we take a look, 5 goals and 10 assists in only 16 games. And Arsenal haven't really been the same ever since Bukayo Saka left. We move into Aston Villa. Youri Tielemans. Again, look at these numbers. There's a common theme here throughout this video that there is consistency when it comes to the top players. Youri Tielemans, if you remember, wasn't always even guaranteed a place in the starting 11 when he first got to the club. But this year, he's become a massive player for Aston Villa. 13 big chances created this season. Aston Villa may well be 9th in the table, and as the season goes on, this player might change. But for me, I've been very impressed with Youri Tielemans. We move into Bournemouth, and it is Dean Henderson. This guy is having such an incredible season for Bournemouth. So much so that even flipping Real Madrid are looking at signing this player this summer. Newcastle are interested. Chelsea interested as well. It could have been so many different Bournemouth players. Shout out to Kluivert, Semenyo. These guys have been absolutely magnificent. But I think Dean Henderson has had such a brilliant season. We move into Brentford. Bryan Mbeumo. This guy is absolutely class. Can play as a striker, can play as the right wing. But the fact that this guy has managed to score 15 goals and 5 assists this season for Brentford, he's Mr. Consistent as well, isn't he? Bryan Mbeumo, the Cameroonian, has had yet another brilliant season for Brentford. We move into Brighton. Now, I've gone with Jan-Paul van Hecke here because having watched Brighton twice against Chelsea in recent games, I'm looking at Van Hecke and I'm like, how is this guy not playing at a bigger club? He looks so composed as a centre-back. And I think this season, Brighton have kind of been in this period where we weren't sure what we were going to get under Hurzeler. And they were absolutely ruined at Nottingham Forest. And since then, they've actually looked like a team that could genuinely compete for a Champions League place this season. So big credit to Brighton. There have been good performances all over. But we move into Chelsea. Moises Caicedo. And look, this guy, the fact that we can actually see 12 months worth of data means that he's actually managed to not get injured, which is absolutely massive. But the thing with Caicedo is that he is Mr. Consistent. Chelsea have had players this season like Palmer's been great at moments, but then he's also been poor in recent months. Caicedo, you can always rely to put in a solid shift in the middle of the park for Chelsea. He's been absolutely brilliant this year. And so has Daniel Munoz, the Crystal Palace right back. He's managed to score 3 goals and get himself 4 assists this season. But I think for me, when I'm watching Palace play, Munoz is a warrior. And we see the same thing pretty much every year when it comes to Crystal Palace. You know that eventually they're going to hit a good spell of form, and that's going to be enough to make sure that they sustain that mid-table kind of area. But I think Munoz could absolutely play for an even bigger club. We move into Everton. James Tarkowski. There was a few players that it could have been for Everton, but again, look at these numbers here from Tarkowski this season. Average rating in the last 12 months is 7.24. But Everton have been very difficult to break down this season, particularly since David Moyes has come in. I think Tarkowski has just become Mr. Reliable. He scored that goal to get Everton that draw in the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, which will obviously go down as a big moment for him in his Everton career. I think Tarkowski is a solid centre-back, and I think he's had a very good season. Moving into Fulham, Anthony Robinson. This guy has managed 10 assists already this season and is so key to the way that Silva has got Fulham playing. I think Robinson, again, is a player that isn't necessarily that young, 27 years old. He's playing in the prime years and moment in his career right now. but he's so key to that Fulham style that I've had to give him the player of the season so far. He's a threat going forward as well. 10 assists is no mean feat, and we have still got 9 games to go this season. Moving into Ipswich Town, it's Liam Delap. This guy, 10 goals this season. He's been like a beacon of hope for Ipswich. I think all of the promoted clubs, they're currently in the bottom 3 in the Premier League table, but at least Liam Delap has scored goals. He's got himself double figures of goals so far this season, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep Ipswich in the league. Similarly to that of Leicester City, Jamie Vardy, I've got really nothing to go with here. Jamie Vardy's 38 years old. He's got 7 goals, 3 assists for Leicester, and we're talking about a serious lack of quality in this Leicester City side this season. And again, between now and the end of the season, is there any chance that Leicester are going to survive? I'm going to say we're talking about 1% chance. But if they do, I don't see who else they can look at and turn to as that beacon of hope other than Jamie Vardy, a man who's been there and done it on so many occasions in this league. But we move now into the most obvious one of the season. Mohamed Salah is without question Liverpool's player of the year. Look at this. The average ratings this season, outrageous. December, when your team needs you the most, to turn up with an 8.4. This is all on SofaScore just so that we keep it consistent. As you can see here, even SofaScore is saying consistency. Even when Mohamed Salah is having an off game, you know he's going to score. 27 goals and 17 assists. If the season was to end now, these numbers would be absolutely outrageous. But the fact that we have still got so much football to play means that this is even more outrageous. This is one of the greatest ever Premier League seasons from an individual player. Let's not beat around the bush just because he went missing against PSG, because he wasn't there in the Carabao Cup final. Mohamed Salah in the Premier League, which is what this is based off this season, has been absolutely incredible. Man City, Josko Gvardiol is the player that we're going with here in a City team that has been riddled with injuries throughout this whole season. The fact that Gvardiol has managed to score 5 goals whilst playing as a left-back, centre-back. He was probably the best player on the pitch against Chelsea in a game that I obviously watched very closely. This Man City team this season, when you're used to the standards and levels that they are, it's difficult, really. And if you're a Man City fan, to be sat in 5th place right now, you're not happy with that. You want to be at minimum challenging for the Premier League, if not winning it, which they normally do. But I think Josko Gvardiol has been a very solid player for them this season. Moving into the next player, Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United. In a season where, look, Man United, they don't want to be where they are. They know that. But to score 8 goals and get 9 assists this season in 28 games so far, Bruno is going to end up once again with double figures for goals and assists, albeit unless he gets injured in the next few games or whatever. But look, Bruno has been very good. I've always been critical of Bruno Fernandes. I'd want more, but without question for me, he's been Manchester United's player of the season. Moving into Alexander Isak for Newcastle. For me right now, this guy is the best all-round striker in world football. He's got absolutely everything in his locker. 19 goals, 5 assists this season as well. And look, the fact that Newcastle have now won that trophy is probably going to be the most important thing for the club this season. After 70 years without a domestic title, this is massive for the club. Alexander Isak probably is going to leave this summer. I think if anything, he ends up at Liverpool. That's just my prediction if he does go. But what a season it has been. The same can be said for Matt Sells, is my Nottingham Forest player of the season so far. This guy has kept more clean sheets than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. Consistent performer. And look, the fact that he's 33 years old, relatively unknown up until this season, is absolutely amazing. Nottingham Forest have been so good and so consistent, both going forward and defensively as well. They've had the less amount of passes on average per game. But to have a goalkeeper that saves you on so many occasions is massive. And look, we can't really say the same for flipping Southampton, can we? Like, this is a tough one. I've given it to Aaron Ramsdale because I feel sorry for the bloke. He saved them from losing double figures in some games. Southampton have been absolutely woeful. There's no point looking at the stats. They're one of the worst Premier League clubs that we have ever seen. So we move now into Spurs. And again, this is a difficult one, but I have gone with Vicario because when Vicario wasn't in the side, Spurs were conceding loads more goals. You can look here for a new signing to come into the Premier League to put in these kind of averages per game. For a Tottenham side that, look, they do concede a lot of chances. I think Vicario's a very good goalkeeper. It's been a turbulent season again for Spurs. Lots of people questioning if Ange is even the guy anymore. But I think Vicario has been very good when he's played. And West Ham, another tricky one, but I've gone with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who I think this season, if you look here at the averages throughout the majority of this season, he's been very good. And we know that Wan-Bissaka's always known for putting in the tackles, winning his duels, etc. But I think at West Ham this season, he's found a level of consistency. And I think the player that we saw at Manchester United, it was so obvious the weaknesses in his game and the strengths. But I think he's become an important key figure in that West Ham side. And we finish, of course, with a no-brainer for Wolverhampton Wanderers, Matheus Cunha. This guy is far too good to be competing in a relegation battle. 13 goals, 4 assists for Wolves this season. And if it wasn't for Cunha, I think they'd probably be going down. I don't think there is enough quality there in that squad. And I think he will get a big move come the summer. Matheus Cunha it is for Wolves. And that wraps up the player of the season for each Premier League club so far this season. Let me know who you think the player of the season has been for each club in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to more GBFC if you are new, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.